Today I'm at Rally Raid UK to ride their brand new KTM 390 Adventure R. I have pretty high expectations for this bike and have been really excited to ride it since it was first released. This is Rally Raid's own 390 and they've purchased it so they can build some custom parts for the bike. They do a lot of this sort of thing and they've already got a list of about 15 or 20 parts in production for the 390. Today we're out with Ash and Dan on the Honda CRF 300 and the CF Moto 450 MT, which have both had many Rally Raid parts produced for them in-house. At the end of the video today, the boys will also give us a rundown on the 390 Adventure R's obvious shortcomings and the parts they have in production for it. I've seen the bike a lot in photos and videos before, but this is the first time seeing it in person. On screen, the bike actually looks smaller than it is, which is the same case for me with a lot of these smaller capacity adventure bikes. Visually, the bike is very striking and purposeful to the eye, and everything looks very KTM. This bike's already got the Rally Raid risers fitted, which are 12mm taller than standard. Oh yeah, and they've also produced a rack for the back of the bike, and that's the prototype that you can see on the back there. Sitting on the bike, everything feels natural and comfortable, and nothing immediately gets in my way. Reach to the bars is perfect, and the seat is really comfortable and wide. Now sitting on it, the bike doesn't feel small to me at all. Before we got going today, I had a quick whip around the menus, which really impressed me with all the settings and the parameters that you can change in there. Today I ran it in off-road mode only, mainly because I wanted to test its off-road performance, and there would have been too much clicking around in the menus to change it back and forth as we're going on and off the road. I ran it with as many rider aids turned off as I could. The goal of the ride today is to push the bike in off-road conditions to quickly find out its limitations and then come back and ride the Rally Raid bike later on once it's had all the mods. Pulling away from Rally Raid, the LC4C engine feels like it should have a bit more down low, and I feel like I really need to rev a lot to keep up with Ash and Dan in front on their bikes. But the bike feels stable on the road on the way to the trail, and it's not twitchy at all.
I've stalled it like 5 times.
Apparently it's something to do with the off-road mode.
Oh. Go. What's going on there?
As soon as we hit off-road, I open it up to see how it goes. Riding the bike in the mid and top end, I can run it through the gears quickly enough. As soon as I'm up to speed, the front end feels really twitchy and it has heaps of head shake. In fact, I can't remember the last bike I rode that shook this much. Granted, I am pushing the bike hard here. And yeah, the bike is bog stock with standard springs and all that, so it's not set up for me at all, but I do ride a lot of bikes with zero setup and they don't do this, so Rally Raid have had the forks and shock apart to check the spring rates and internals, and they reckon the bike's set up for a slightly heavier rider, which is good for me. Anyway, aside from that, the suspension feels really good when you're not pushing it like, 80% and plus. And yeah, it really impresses me with zero setup. I do bottom the bike a few times on the front and rear over the course of our couple-hour ride, and that's to be expected because I was riding to find the limit. Compression and rebound damping on the forks and rebound damping on the shock only. Riding the bike, nothing really gets in my way as I'm moving around, and the seat feels comfortable for normal trail riding and also riding more aggressively when you're moving around on the seat and changing your weight and that. Hand and foot controls feel natural and well placed. Standing up on the bike off-road, nothing stood out to me as wrong, and it was easy to move my weight around back and forth. On the road sections, the screen is direct in the wind over my helmet, which is impressive for this bike. and a massive selling point for me for road riding. Conditions were mostly dry today and the tyres felt like they had loads of grip and I could push it in the corners a bit. Front always felt good, but sometimes under full power, the back end felt vague. Only way I can describe it is sort of like the feeling you get when the back tyre's flat and it wants to keep going in one direction. So take 15 or 20% flat back tyre feeling and add that to how a tyre should normally feel, and then you'll sort of get the feeling that I got today. Of course, the back tyre wasn't flat, and the goal of my ride was to push the bike, so it's going to reveal things like this. Anyway, it could be one of a few things, so let's leave the jury out on that, Your Honour. John at Rally Ray did say he's going to change the tyres on the bike, so we'll see if it's there when I ride the bike next. Brakes felt good, and I didn't notice that they lacked power, so that's a tick. Both felt responsive. Had a few issues with the bike today actually, which I'm not sure are common for this bike. First one was that it was very easy to stall. In fact, I probably stalled it about 20 or 30 times today. Dan did check the forums and he did find that there was a software upgrade due on the bike, and one owner also reported that that has actually fixed the problem. Second one was that the bike cut out when I was riding over rough ground and the side stand warning came on to say that the side stand was down. Took a few moments to fix by classic ignition on and off and whacking the side stand up and down to reset it. Maybe that's a faulty side stand switch or something like that, needs to be replaced. If you'd like to see a full tour of the Rally Raid factory with John and Ash, we've actually produced one, and it's on my other channel, which is called the Classic Motorcycle channel. It's a great video, and in it, we go into a lot of detail. I'll leave a link to that video in this video's description. When I got back from the ride, I had a good look around the bike, and there's things I noticed about the bike, mostly positive, with a few cons, and here they are. Very small exhaust tucked away under the bike, out of the way. Excellent mudguards, especially the rear one, which is obviously designed to hold as little mud as possible under there. LED lights all round and a cool looking front light. Adjustable clutch and brake levers. Screen and tower look great, and that is one big blob of plastic out there holding it all together. Coolant reservoir looks like it's tucked away nicely in there and not stuck somewhere like a complete afterthought, like you see a lot these days. Trellis frame looks great. Foot pegs are proper off-road ones. Yay. Removable pillion pegs. In fact, that will save a lot of weight if you can take those off. Fuel tank and plastic that goes to the tower looks super sturdy for when you drop the bike. Handguards, they look pretty flimsy actually. Shock linkage at the back is exposed and doesn't have a guard, so that's going to let some muck in there. As promised, let's now hear from Ash on what Rally Raid reckon are the immediate obvious shortcomings on the bike and what they're going to do about it.
Yeah, it's going to start front to back thing, so there is quite a few different bits we've already got started. So just from the front wheel, we have stainless wheel spacers. We did get these out pretty early because of the issues with the spacers being too short from the factory, which there is a recoil on, so that'll soon be sorted. We've got some vulnerable reflectors sticking out here. You can see a bit of a spindly arm around here holding on to it. We are worried that, you know, one deflection off of that is just going to snap this off, so we're going to make some replacement plastic screws to go in there to get rid of these. We've got a spindle puller tool, which is like an expanding bolt, a bit like your Bart Buster ends, which will just go in the end because they're hollow and there's nothing to grab hold of, so it'll just plug in the end, allow you to pull the spindle out if you're stuck on the trail needing to do a tube change or something. So as usual, we're going to be doing suspension options. So the suspension's pretty good on it, but we're still going to go through and do a standard plus 30 kit. It is direct to swing arm shock, so we will do a shorter shock as well to allow you to lower the bike. I think it'll be about 30 to 50 mil lower, something around there. So moving up to the front, we've got no nav options for mounting here, so we are going to try and make a off these bolts here and up to here something just to put a 12 mil crossbar so you can stick your DMD or your Garmin up there. We've already had a top clamp sorted off our machine, so that's a one piece, again amps bolt pattern, So that allows you to put your nav in here, a bit
What's the
stronger.
bolt pattern? What's that mean?
So the pretty much standard bolt pattern for any nav unit that like your Garmin's or your DMD will come with is I think it's 30 by 38 millimeters. So any amps mount that you buy, it will fit all GPS mounts pretty much.
What about like phone as well?
It's a good question. I don't really do a lot with phones, so I'm not sure. I don't know if Quadlock has any amps kind of set up pieces, but yeah, most of like the 12mm crossbar mounts, they'll be amped bolt pattern.
Yep.
So in the bottom here, we've got some risers as well. So we're gonna sell these in packs. 12mm per riser, there'll be 2 of them, so you can go up to 24mm. Moving back, we've got a very flimsy engine guard. It's mounted to a single point in the center, so you've got quite a lot of torque on the bracket that's coming out here. It's not squared onto anything, so you can see I can just bend this.
It's rubber mounted at the back, you guys were saying too.
That's it, yeah. So we've already got the mounting blocks in place to sort this out. That's really hot, and I'll make up an engine guard to fit that.
Yep.
Moving further back, we'll do the side stands to match the lowering shock options.
So when you say to match it, you're going to do a shorter side stand.
That's it.
So that it's not leaning over.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, so it'll be fitting with the OEM switches and things like that, so it'll just be a straight swap. Some plates to go on to extend your foot peg pattern. Are we doing hole replacements?
No, it will just be a topper on and a platform just to spread the weight a little bit better and have a little bit more of aggressive grip for your soles of your boots.
Yeah.
We're also going to have a look at replacing this part here potentially so that we can lower the foot peg as well if needs be. And in the same area, it's quite difficult to change sometimes because of the offset with the gear lever and your foot peg. So John's lining up a few replacements for the heads of your gear lever and a different spring in there.
Yep.
So as you can see, we've already got the rear rack on. These are now in production. So we'll make a luggage rack which will come in off of here and down to the foot peg. So that'll just kind of join in with the flow. We're not looking for any kind of hard luggage mounting. It's purely just something for your giant loop or your Krieger that hangs over the top, just to stop it from going into the rear wheel.
The horn's actually currently quite vulnerable to dirt and conflict, so we're going to look to relocate this up here somewhere.
Overall, I'm actually really impressed with this bike, and it does what it's meant to do very, very well. I do know that KTM will have a heap of power parts that you can add to the bike if you buy it to solve a lot of these potential issues, but I haven't had a look around their site yet. I'm also really looking forward to seeing what Rally Raid can do to this bike, and a massive thank you to them for letting me ride the bike today. That's it. Thanks for watching.